important to me personally. This led me to my capstone, Modernizing AV in South Church, and why more funding should be put into South Church's stereo systems. Here at St. J.I., chapel and capstone are incredibly important traditions. Keeping the technology up to date is important for a multitude of reasons, but specifically ease of access for AV techs and presenters. Having a simple and more consistent stereo setup would allow for both chapel and capstone to run smoother and faster with less setup. Though, the most important causes for renovation is clarity, quality, and consistency for both in-person and the recorded videos for capstone. The work and dedication that people put in their capstones can be ruined by something as small as a microphone malfunction. Here are 3 audio clips. The first I recorded myself with Mr. Ford, the head of AV. The other 2 clips are from Capstone Day in South Church last semester, where I was the AV technician running it. Mr. Ford and I tried everything we could think of to get any improvement with no luck. For the record, this is the best we could get it. Second clip, please. That was the medium, and the last one, please. For the record, Jay in the booth did not change the volume for that. That is just how much it varies. These were the only recordings of the capstone that the school has. A semester's worth of work being drowned out by the monotone hum of a bad signal. There's not only a reason for this to be improved, but a need. Technical issues during presentations and performances affect the presenters and performers, yes, but it also affects many people that you may not think about. There are families and friends that due to medical reasons, responsibilities such as work, or just the unpredictability of life, are not able to make it to their loved one capstones and performances. Knowing this, we should be ensuring that the recordings of capstones and performances are understandable and high quality. Along with presenters and families, technical issues also greatly affect AV technicians and venue leaders. Something going wrong on such an important occasion can be incredibly stressful. Knowing something is going wrong while you have the responsibility to make sure it goes well would stress anybody out. Having an easy-to-use and consistent setup can reduce that stress by a large margin. Some of the common issues that appear include microphone disconnection or loss of signal, inconsistent audio like you heard, especially in the recordings, and low streaming quality. One of the ways that we could solve all of these issues would be switching to an entirely wired stereo setup. Not having to rely on wireless microphones would allow for the quality and clarity of the sound to be more consistent. The issue with this solution is that if we wanted it to be in-wall wiring, it could range from $50,000 to over $400,000 to replace the wiring in the wall. As it stands, trying to run microphones through the in-wall wiring plays the radio, the local radio. I'm not joking. With this, we would need to replace speaker arrays, the wiring, like I said, new microphones that are wired, and then, of course, including the cost of tearing the old wiring out and then fixing the walling afterwards, while following the regulations put on renovations for the building because it is under preservation. With my capstone, I hope to bring attention to the issue at hand and give you the perspective of someone who has dealt with it directly for multiple years. offer a fleshed out short-term solution that could improve the current situation at a cheaper rate, and giving insight on what it may look like when eventually a full-scale renovation is planned. Overall, I just want to be able to assist in the issue, or at the very least make sure that you leave this capstone with a bit more information on the issue. Before we get into planning, we need to know the long history of South Church. South Church itself was built in 1852 as a replica of Mother Church, becoming a main house of worship. Later on, a book released in 1937 titled 150th Anniversary of the Founding of St. Johnsbury, Vermont, states that in 1879, the South Church broadcast a complete service. This perhaps was the first broadcast the world ever knew. The press of a whole nation featured the event. It was just the time that telephones were being introduced, and the enterprising pastor of the day set up a telephone transmitter on the pulpit and had the wires strung to a parsonage on Park Street. Their receiver was mounted, and a small group gathered around to hear the entire service relayed to them like a message from another world. More modernly, South Church AV got its last renovation in the early 2000s. Along with the age of the building itself, the main reasons that renovation hasn't happened already is following Preservation Act guidelines, like I said, replacing the wiring, and working around the current elevator renovations, all while having a very limited budget. All of these factors make it impossibly difficult to plan a feasibly large-scale renovation within the time frame I had. So I decided to make a smaller scale plan that solves our immediate issues. Before I could think about technology, I looked at the architecture of South Church. Since this church was built before vocal amplification technology existed, it was built with natural voice amplification in mind. This was a common theme for older churches. According to Joseph de Bougelot, historically, before the 1940s, churches were constructed in remote places and designed so that the human voice could be projected without amplification. This, along with its smaller size, allows for a cheaper replacement short-term. Here's my price sheet. I have compiled this list for our most pressing issues. This will not cover all of our problems, but it will start improving our current situation. I would start by buying a wired XLR microphone and have it run from the podium off to the side along that wall and then up the staircase to plug into the board directly. Finally, I would replace the speakers with newer wall-mounted speakers on the back corners there and there. This is what I believe to be one of the cheapest improvements that can be made to address the most pressing issues. For the future, I have 4 main things that I'd like to see improved. First, replacing all wireless technology we rely on with wired technology. This includes microphones, cameras, and streaming setups. With this, we would need to tear out and replace all of the wiring within the walls, or deal with a large amount of wires along the floor. We should be using a podium microphone that stays in the same place daily. A major benefit not having to rely on battery-powered, signal-based microphones is consistency. Not having to replace the microphone, battery, and find which signal and channel runs each microphone will greatly increase the ease of access and consistency of chapel capstone performances. According to DGI Media Center, wired microphones are known for delivering the highest level of audio fidelity and consistency. These are my current ideas on how to benefit and improve South Church audio. And can I just get a show of hands who has been here since session 2? So as you may have seen, even today we have seen and dealt with issues that shouldn't be here. Capstone is not a light day, and it is very important to the school, to the seniors, and to families. So having days of prep to make sure that problems don't happen and still having such issues is a pressing problem that shouldn't be happening. I want to give a thank you to Jay, the NHS people, and the venue leaders for helping out however they can. Thank you very much. Any questions? Michael. He interviewed me for my experience with AV, but I didn't get the chance to talk to him much, especially because a lot of Fuller Hall is already wired well or well enough that the improvements could be more minor in my opinion. You'd have to ask AJ. But I did not get much information from him, and the stuff that I did was very limited. Mhm. The main point is that it doesn't need to be a fixed podium. It just needs to be that the microphone is fixed inside of the podium. Because especially just having it along the wall here, there would still be some slack, even if it was taped down. So this could still be moved without the microphone having to be replaced. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The only issue that would work perfectly, it's just an old building, so renovations are difficult. And with having a jack in the floor, like there is in Fuller, a lot of people trip over it. And I've had that experience in Fuller Hall running AV where we're looking at everything, the podium mic is not working. We have Mr. Ford run on stage, come back 2 minutes later with it working. Someone unplugged it. Ah. That probably surprised me most in my research. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I have one question. Do you have any ideas or suggestions on how to raise funds for the upgrade?
For the smaller one, trying to look if there would, I did a little research myself, but I didn't find much of specifically what I was looking for, but like government grants and then other like nonprofits that give out funding for schools. And like what we do now, bake sales, charity walks, just things like that. I think that it is not an absurd number to be able to fundraise like we normally do and have it done within a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. Trying to run the microphones through the wires that are already in the wall, quite literally play the local radio. Thank you very much.